कृण्वन्तो विश्वमार्यं कृण्वन्तो विश्वमार्यम् अखिल विश्व में एक बार फिर उन्नत ध्वज भगवा डोले। अखिल विश्व में एक बार फिर आर्य धर्म की जय बोले। वेदों के अनुशीलन से हम आविष्कार नित नए करें। दुनिया का मानव भारत का आराधन और नमन करें। जग अपना उद्धार करे हम ऐसा व्यवहार करें। जग अपना उद्धार करे हम ऐसा व्यवहार करें। एक मंत्र का घोष करे कृण्वन्तो विश्वमार्यं कृण्वन्तो विश्वमार्यम्। एक साथ उच्चार करे हम ऐसा व्यवहार करें। एक साथ उच्चार करे हम ऐसा व्यवहार करें। एक मंत्र का
सबको नमस्ते।
सबका नमस्ते जी। Today is March 17th, Friday, and we're now going to begin our session on Sandhyaa Upaasanaa and Mantra Swadhyaya. Our speaker today is Dr. Ramesh Gupta, and I'm going to highlight him.
सबको सादर नमस्ते।
सबको नमस्ते जी। डॉक्टर रमेश गुप्ता, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आप प्लीज स्टार्ट कर दीजिए।
मैं संध्या से शुरू करता हूँ। प्लीज क्लोज योर आईज and recite the Om with your full heart, mind and spirituality. Shoulders relaxed, eyeballs slightly rolled up. ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। तूने हमें उत्पन्न किया, पालन कर रहा है तू। तुझसे ही पाते प्राण हम, दुखियों के कष्ट हरता तू। तेरा महान तेज है, छाया हुआ सभी स्थान। सृष्टि की वस्तु वस्तु में तू हो रहा है विद्यमान, तेरा ही धरते ध्यान हम, मांगते तेरी दया। ईश्वर हमारी बुद्धि को श्रेष्ठ मार्ग पर चला, दाता हमारी बुद्धि को श्रेष्ठ मार्ग पर चला। ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्, धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ओम शन्नो देवीरभिष्टये आपो भवन्तु पीतये संयोरभिस्रवन्तु नः। ओम वाक् वाक्, ओम प्राण प्राण, ओम चक्षु चक्षु, ओम श्रोत्रम श्रोत्रम, ओम नाभि, ओम हृदयम्, ओम कंठ, ओम शिरे, ओम बाहुभ्यां यशो बलम्, ओम करतल कर पृष्ठे। ओम भू पुनातु शिरसि, ओम भुवः पुनातु नेत्रयो, ओम स्वः पुनातु कंठे, ओम वः पुनातु नाभ्यम्, ओम जन पुनातु नाभ्यम्, ओम तप पुनातु पादयो, ओम सत्यं पुनातु पुनः शिरसि, ओम खम्बं पुनातु सर्वत्र। ओम भुवः, ओम स्वः, ओम मः, ओम जनः, ओम तपः, ओम सत्यम्। ओम ऋतं च सत्यं च भिद्वा तपसो जायते, ततो रात्र जायते, ततः समुद्रो अर्णवः। ओम समुद्रादर्णवादधि संवत्सरो अजायते, अहोरात्राणि विदधद्विश्वस्य विशतो वशी। ओम सूर्य चंद्रमसौ दाता, यथा पूर्वमकल्पयत्, दिवं च पृथ्वी चान्तरिक्षमतो स्वः। ओम शन्नो देवीरभिष्टये आपो भवन्तु पीतये संयोरभिस्रवन्तु नः। ओम प्राचीदिगग्निरधिपतिरसितो रक्षितादित्या ईशवः, तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो, रक्षितृभ्यो नमः, ईशुभ्यो नमः। एभ्यो अस्तु योऽस्मान् द्वेष्टियं वयं द्विष्मस्तं भोजं वेदद्मः। ओम दक्षिणादिगिन्द्रोऽधिपतिस्थिरश्चिराजी, रक्षिता पितर ईशवः, तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो, रक्षितृभ्यो नमः, ईशुभ्यो नमः। एभ्यो अस्तु योऽस्मान् द्वेष्टियं वयं द्विष्मस्तं भोजं भेदद्मः। ओम प्रतीचि दिग्वर्णोऽधिपति प्रदाहु, रक्षितान्नमिषवः, तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो, रक्षितृभ्यो नमः, ईशुभ्यो नमः। एभ्यो अस्तु योऽस्मान् द्वेष्टियं वयं द्विष्मस्तं भोजं वेदद्मः। ओम उदीची दिक्सोमोऽधिपति स्वजो, रक्षिता शनिऋषवः, तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो, रक्षितृभ्यो नमः, ईशुभ्यो नमः। एभ्यो अस्तु योऽस्मान्द्वेष्टि यं वयं विश्वस्तं भोजं भेदद्मः। ॐ ध्रुवादिग्विष्णुरधिपतिकल्माषग्रीवो रक्षिता विरुधयिषवः तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशुभ्यो नमः एभ्यो अस्तु। योऽस्मान्द्वेष्टि यं वयं विश्वस्तं भोजं भेदद्मः। ॐ ऊर्ध्वादिगबृहस्पतिरधिपतिश्वित्रो रक्षिता वर्षमिषवः तेभ्यो नमोऽधिपतिभ्यो नमो रक्षितृभ्यो नमः ईशुभ्यो नमः एभ्यो अस्तु। योऽस्मान्द्वेष्टि यं वयं विश्वस्तं भोजं भेदद्मः। ॐ उद्वयं तमसस्परिस्वः पश्यन्त उत्तरं देवं देवत्रा सूर्यमगन्मं ज्योतिरुत्तमम्। ॐ उदित्यं जातवेदसं देवं वहन्ति केतव दृशे विश्वाय सूर्यम्। ॐ चित्रं देवानामुदगादनीकं चक्षुर्मित्रस्य वरुणस्याग्ने आप्राद्या पृथिवी अन्तरिक्षदं सूर्य आत्मा जगतस्तस्तु चच स्वाहा। ॐ तच्चक्षुरुदेवहितं पुरस्तात् शुक्रमुच्चरत् पश्येम शरदः शतं जीवेम शरदः शतं शृणुयाम शरदः शतं प्रब्रवाम शरदः शतं दीनास्याम शरदः शतं भूयश्च शरदः शतात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। हे ईश्वर दयानिधे भवत्कृपयानेन जपोपासनादि कर्मणा धर्मार्थ काम मोक्षाणां सद्य सिद्धिर्भवन्। ओम नमः शंभवाय च मयो नमः शंकराय च महेश्वराय च नमः शिवाय च शिवतराय च। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम ओम द्यौ शांति अंतरिक्षदं शांति पृथ्वी शांति आपः शांति औषधयः शांति वनस्पतयः शांतिर्विश्वे देवा शांति ब्रह्म शांति सर्वं शांति शांतिरेव शांति सामा शांतिरेधि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सॉरी कुछ कॉफ हो गया था, मिस्टेक्स भी हुई है। Just sit down, close your eyes for a minute or two, and also take a breath about 4 seconds in and 6 seconds out. Slowly breathe in, and when you exhale, limit your exhalation, the initial part of exhalation. So breathe in and out, just observe at your nostrils, be the observer, drishta ban jao, sirf for a couple of minutes. Thank you. Now I'm going to minimize this thing and go open my talk. हाँ? गड़बड़ है, कहाँ चला गया वो? ओके, तो अगर मुझे स्क्रीन शेयर कर दें, मतलब वो को होस्ट कर दें तो
आप को होस्ट हैं, तो आपको आप शेयर स्क्रीन नीचे नजर, पहले आपको डॉक्यूमेंट खोलना होगा, उसके बाद हाँ अब आ गया
है ना।
बार।
तो ये टॉपिक ऐसा है कि जितना समय लें जितना ना लें अपने ऊपर है। तो this is a distinguished audience. Participation, kindly stop anytime you wish to. This is pretty much preaching the choir, but what I have tried to do, I have talked on this subject couple of times before, so it might be a little repetition, but hopefully you will enjoy it. So the goal of life, we just recited in Sandhyaa, is dharma, arth, काम, and moksha, which means a righteous way of life, earning or acquiring wealth and other means as a result of that, fulfilling our desires, and then hopefully achieve moksha. And this is called Purusharth Chatushtay. The goal of life while we are alive is to be healthy, happy, both physically, mentally, and hopefully spirituality as well. After death, to achieve freedom from and from the rebirth and salvation. And this can be achieved by two things, the yoga and yajna, the two pillars of life. Vedic teachings and healthy living. Health can be defined as physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And of course, Vedas are the source of all knowledge. You know how Yoga, Darshan, all this came. Ved has the knowledge of God and soul are given in Vedas in its perfection. The knowledge of nature is given in the root form, just the formula, and we human beings have expanded on it, and that's called the scientific progress, all different things. Subsequent scripture, Brahman, Gita, Upanishad, all of that, sage Patanjali before Mahabharata. The goal here, we want to know whether the yoga is beneficial, what is the reason behind how it is beneficial, and what is the best way to practice, and whether it is useful most, and what are its limitations. It's not a panacea. Somebody is having a severe chest pain, having a coronary attack, or a stroke, or something else, or a cancer or something. They're not going to depend on yoga. Some of these people who try to show these miracles, there are limitations. So don't hold your medical care because you are practicing yoga. But there is a strong rationale behind it. Everyone knows yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, so control of faculties of mind, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The most important in this slide is in the middle, which I have bolded. There's a lot of, but I don't want to dwell on all of this. See, the research on various organ systems has proven that various levels of pains in the body, hypertension, heart disease, various digestive nervous disorders, and mental disorders have their origin in coping with various stresses of life. It's not the stress, but how we deal with it, how we have positive thinking. That's the most important thing. So what yoga does, yoga, ye jo niche aa raha hai, can you see the bottom? Bottom, let me put
Can
this.
see up to the practice of yoga is to be
Ab aa
tailored.
raha hai? Ab now you can see?
Can see up.
Yeah. So positive thinking achieved through yoga is self-empowering. That's very important. Now, what is health or what is disease? In Western medicine, which I'm a part of it, health is defined as absence of disease. According to the Eastern philosophy or the Vedic teachings, disease is simply the absence of vibrant health. That's why it's called holistic medicine. Vedas and Vedic teachings are designed to strengthen and utilize body's own powers. Our body is a factory. All kinds of chemicals, as you will see, are produced. How do you do that? There is an emphasis on positive thought, practicing yoga, proper diet, exercise, and a good daily routine. Somebody who wakes up early in the morning, chances are they will not fail. ऐसा कहते हैं कि जिस मनुष्य के ऊपर सोते हुए सूर्य की किरणें गिरती हैं उसका तेज नष्ट हो जाता है, ऐसा बोलते हैं. And this is a जो there is a Charak Samhita and then there's a Sushrut Samhita. In Sushrut Samhita, this is a very perfect definition of health. I love it. Sam dosha, sam agni, sam dhatu, mal kriya, prasanna, atma, indriya, manah, swasth iti abhidhiyate, which means the vapit kav, the digestive fire, which means the food we take, the digestion, assimilation, the components, the metabolism, and the tissue components, and of course, a lot of emphasis in India about bowel movement. If somebody has not moved their bowels that day, they're not going to enjoy the food. A lot of us grew up with that culture. That is a product of this system. Everyone knows about the 5 kosh. I'm giving this background to come to how it benefits. Annamayi kosh, pranamayi kosh, manmayi kosh, vigyanmayi kosh, or anandmayi kosh. The 5 sheaths they call. In reality, there are no 5 sheaths in the body, but it is how we go deeper and deeper into thought process, into the yoga. We have Yam, Niyam, Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So Yam, Niyam are the social and personal code of conduct. Let me repeat. The Yam and Niyam are the social and personal code of conduct, namely Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Shoch, Santosh, Tap, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhan. So those are the components of how we can deal with ourselves and the society and the world we live in. So that is for the body. कहते हैं कि अद्भिर्गातानि शुद्धन्ति मन सत्येन शुद्धयन्ति तपो विद्या तपोभ्याम भूतात्मा बुद्धिर ज्ञानेन शुद्धयति. ये मनुस्मृति का है श्लोक. Same concept. Next sheath is the pranamayi kosh. See, we have indriya जो है अपनी ज्ञानेंद्रियां, कर्मेंद्रियां, our body parts. After that is the mind. वो कहता है mind. So in between mind, and it's very important to understand that in between the senses and mind, there is something called the prana, the shakti, the power behind. We have eyes. So there is a power of the eyes behind it, power of the nose behind it, what controls, and the mind is behind it. So that is the prana. तो हम प्राणायाम जब करते हैं, भस्त्रिका, कपालभाति, बाह्य कुंभक, अंदर कुंभक, abhyantar kumbhak, all those things, we are trying to control the pran. जब प्राण control में आ जाते हैं तो मन control में आ जाता है. So we have indriya or the senses, then we have the pran, and then we have the mind. So pranamay pran, pratyahara and dharana are for the mind. So once you reach yam, niyam, asan, pratyahara and dharana, these are for the focusing of mind. And once you go deeper into dhyan, now the mind also disconnected and it's vijnanamay, and then finally, of course, unison with God. This is how this concept is. Now I'm going into the science part of it. Yam, niyam, overall discipline. Asan, okay. Now, generally when you exercise, you get tired. Yogasan or yoga, everyone says you don't get tired, you get relaxed instead. So more flexibility, reduced chance of injury, better posture, and increased body strength with asana. Pranayama, better oxygenation and relaxation and focus, and it progresses towards meditation, as I mentioned before. Yam, niyam, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana toward that. Meditation, the word meditation, when we use it, we are basically talking about progressive stage of pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana. Samadhi, none of us can really achieve, at least I cannot achieve. So pratyahara, dharana, and dhyana, that together we use this word meditation. What's the difference? Pratyahara is basically you are focusing on something, but the wavers. You focus, goes away. Focus, goes away. Dharana is when you are able to focus without anything particular and more stable. Dhyan is now you don't need any object. It just automatically you are fully focused. That's the dhyan. So what it does, we have a system in the body called the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis. I'll show you a cartoon of it. And the autonomic control. What it does improvement in body system physically, mentally, and spiritual. It also slows down age. There was a study last week from Brigham, from Boston, that especially when you are up in the years, you are better off with doing yoga. It improves not only the quality, but also to some extent longevity. It prevents illness and helps healing. That's very important to remember that. So now, what am I going to cover in this thing? What is stress? What are its mechanisms? Because you need to know, everybody asks in the office, doctor, do I have a stress? What is stress? What it does to the body? The respiratory benefit, the cardiovascular benefit, the musculoskeletal nervous system benefit, endocrine, other substance abuse, and immunity. Very loaded. So I'll try to walk, and please stop where you have any query. So stress. What is stress? Stress, there are three ways. What am I doing here? Okay. Yoga relieves, yoga should be called yoga, relieves stress at the psychic limbic system in the deep part of the brain. Then just below this is the some nuclei called hypothalamus. And then there is a pituitary adrenal system. Stress is difficult to define, but it's an inability to deal effectively with situations which arise in life. It's not a measurable thing, what is stress, but how we deal with those situations. That's what stress is. So what it does, so this is the cartoon. As you can see, these are the paraventricular nuclei, that's hypothalamic. Above that, deep of the brain is the limbic system, emotions. For example, people talk about amygdala. Amygdala, the name will come back again, is something which gets large with the stress. Yoga, it cuts down. What it stores, वहाँ डर था, वहाँ भूत है, वहाँ शेर है, वहाँ बदबू है. That idea. Events are stored in hippocampus and parahippocampus gyrus, and emotions, the whole thing is the limbic system. Below that is the hypothalamus, then pituitary, and this is the adrenal gland which sits on the top of the kidneys. The out covering or cortex secretes the steroids, and inside is the chemicals which lead to, like a, let's say you are in a dangerous situation. So body reacts differently in that. So that's what stress is. So stress, what happens? We have more catecholamines, steroids, less insulin, metabolism of fat, carbohydrate, protein is altered. You need sugar that time. You need to run. There's an increased retention of sodium. You don't want to go to the bathroom. You need more fluids. Blood pressure goes up. Cholesterol is increased with the stress. Plaque buildup. More worsening of diabetes, obesity, hypertension. This COVID, I see in the office every day. The average weight gain with the COVID in those who gain weight is about 10 to 15 pounds. Stress, eat more. Asthma gets worse, release of histamine. This is again another cartoon showing the detail. So, and also there are some changes with the stress in the brain. Density of some of the areas goes up, some goes down. The amygdala I mentioned, amygdala, fear. Limbic system, impaired function. Faster progression of Alzheimer's disease. And this is the detail of it, which we don't need to know. How? But all these things because of the stress. How the yoga works? By now it's kindly pay attention to this. Yoga therapy works by reducing symptoms that can be reduced, managing symptoms that cannot be reduced. If you have a severe arthritis of the knee, your cartilages are short, meniscus is short, yoga will do limit. You probably have to do a surgery, but it can help. And removing the cause of disease completely if possible, and improving overall quality and attitude and perception, how we look at things. So that's the stress. Now comes the respiratory part. Normally, now I'm coming to pranayama. When we breathe, normally there is something called a tidal volume, about 500, 600 ml going in and out. When you take a deep breath, now I have taken what is called the inspiratory reserve volume. It's a reserve. Now I am breathing out, initial breathe out, then tidal volume out and breathe out more. That is expiratory reserve volume. Together, it's called vital capacity. And then we do Bhaya-kumbhak or Viksha-shepi pranayama. In that, we not only use the vital capacity, but when you breathe out, you want to breathe out more, and breathe more out. That is calling into play the residual volume. So essentially, potentially, we are converting half a liter into 5 liters total lung capacity. As you can see, pranayama helps. Your endurance goes up. So also, when we are having more oxygen, some of the oxygen is dissolved in the plasma, not only into the red cells, and that also helps increasing your endurance. And when you have more oxygenation, people who have sleep apnea, people who are snoring, they have poor oxygenation. Their oxygenation of the heart, brain, kidneys, all goes down. The net result is more heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, arthritis. So you can understand by doing a regular pranayama, waking up early, you will be better off. They did a lot of, there's a tremendous articles. Some of them are, they did it in, there was an article in Indian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology. Systolic and diastolic pressure goes down by Pranayama, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Again, pressure goes down. Now, how the pressure goes down? When the heart pumps blood, it goes into the circulation. So we have a certain resistance. That's the diastolic blood pressure. So it relaxes. The heart has an easier time pumping. Now, also by breathing in, you are bringing more blood into the heart. So now more is available. You can see that how pranayama helps. Chemical changes. I dealt with respiratory. Now I'm talking about chemical changes in the brain. Our body, our mind is a factory. It is a pharmacy. It's a pharmacy right there. You take a short jog, run or yoga, I feel good. And that's because of your endorphin, morphine, happy hormone, serotonin. When a mother has a baby and sucking, oxytocin, feel good. Serotonin, people, the serotonin, SSRI, there are medications for depression. Serotonin uptake inhibitor, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So when you take these medications, your serotonin level goes up. People have found that in people with depression, serotonin level is down. 95% of serotonin is in GI tract, but it's in other parts of, so that goes up. Dopamine, like in Parkinson's disease, the dopamine is low, that goes up. So dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin, gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA. GABA is a negative chemical. When you have more of it, you are more relaxed. And people have found that GABA levels are found to be higher in session of yoga. So it's more relaxing. So you can see, this is very brief. You can, a lot of detail can be there. So immunity. With the COVID, the immunity came into play. How the immunity goes up with the yoga? There are 3 types of immunity. Innate, that's natural, adaptive, and passive. Adaptive is like a vaccine. Passive is when like a baby gets from the mother. So it is this initial inherent immunity, the basic immunity, that goes up with the yoga. What happens? They did a study, your lymphocytes. There are 2 types of lymphocytes, B cells and T cells. Both function better. Chemicals both function better with the yoga. You need not to go into all the details of it. They did a study, they found that natural killer cell numbers were found to be higher. This is a detailed research. There is a chemical called CRP, C-reactive protein, that is suggestive of inflammation. People with colitis, heart disease, we check it. So those are pro-inflammatory cytokines or chemicals. So they get reduced. They are more in periods of stress and anxiety and inflammation. Tumor necrosis factor, interleukin. So these are all different chemicals which cells make for inflammation. All of these go down. There are a lot of research on it. In our saliva, there is a chemical called ss-defensin. That goes up, more protection. So more protection, less inflammation, less heart disease, less arthritis. As you can see, the yoga overall helps. Aging process. There is something you probably heard, telomere. Telomeres are the chromosomes. They are present in the terminal end of the chromosome. As the cell divides, as we go older, these telomeres get shorter and shorter. Now, telomerase is an enzyme which yoga restores the expression of it. So the shortening of the chromosome is less. Body, we are all gonna, it's gonna end. It's not like you can have an eternal life. But the progression of the deterioration of the body goes down with yoga because it does affect at the very fundamental level, telomere. So now what happens to the brain, its structure? Just for your information, we have about 100 billion neurons in the brain, about 30 to 100 different chemicals. So we have a lot going on. We have front of the brain, top of the brain, there is an inside, and then there is a reticular system. So the front of the brain is called the attention association area. It deals with the willpower, focus, attention, concentration. So that's what goes up. That becomes so by yoga, practice of yoga, you're able to focus more. You can produce more. You can think and then act. Retention is better. Productivity better. Connected to this fourth part of the brain is the limbic system in the deep part of the brain, which deals with attention, emotions, memory. So you're more stable. You're not going to, because somebody gave you a look, you're not going to kill them. You're going to think, what will be the consequence of my action, and then act. Also better memory, retention. Sometimes we read and you ask later on, I don't remember because we were under stress. We were thinking something. So yoga helps in that. Top, just behind, right around here, is the orientation association area. This is attention association area. This is orientation association area. When you are doing meditation, when you are doing pranayama, dhyana, you forget where you are. You get a deep sleep. That means you are disconnecting the orientation association area. Attention, yes. Orientation, no. So you want to reduce the activity of the orientation association area. And this is the seat of mind and ego. You know where you are. I'm sitting on this chair, I'm talking to you. This is where my mind is. So you forget when you're doing meditation. And that's how we relax. So again, to reiterate this thing, there is this amygdala, the blue thing, this thing. And this is the hippocampus, gyrus and parahippocampus. This is where memories are stored. And this amygdala is the problem with emotions. It gets large with the stress and it gets better with the yoga. And this blue or all of this is limbic system, deep in the brain. This is the front of the brain. This is the top of the brain. So these are different parts. So reticular system is a network which goes up and down, millions of those things. And that brings in the information and keeps us going. So that reticular activity also goes down. So there is a less input, less pain. People have done surgery on people, even brain surgery with the deep meditation. There are examples. I don't know whether it's true or not, but the bottom line is it's less painful because of all this reticular activity, the thalamic activity, the mammillary activity, all this orientation activity, attention activity goes down. Attention goes up, orientation goes down. So meditation leads to decreased sympathetic and increased parasympathetic activity. Kindly remember this one line. Let me repeat. Decrease sympathetic, increase parasympathetic, more activity in the front, less in the back. Because in a stress, it's the opposite. Got it? Slow down in the age-related reduction in gray matter. There are certain parts of the brain, putamen, frontal lobe, they found not only more gray matter and less deterioration. So yoga does have a value in that. What level of yoga, how long, those are things. So meditators, this is in Buddhist monks they studied. Meditators showed significantly larger volume, such as hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, thalamus, right temporal gyrus and insula. Amygdala goes down and there was a decrease in the putamen size with the age. Slow down in the decrease of, so there are changes, actual changes. And this is a spectro images. You can see baseline and then you can see in the meditators, you see the frontal lobe activity is more and the parietal activity is less. Frontal more, parietal less. Attention better, orientation less. Waves, theta waves, that's what you want to achieve. Deep meditation. And so to summarize, 2 more minutes. So one of the main effects of daily routine is that inculcates a more disciplined life, such as better diet, better sleeping. जो मनुष्य जल्दी उठेगा, जल्दी सोएगा, यम नियम का पालन करेगा, chances are his diet will be better. He's not going to drink soda. He's going to be less fried foods, alcohol, all these dependence on the drugs. How much suicide, how much depression, how much is going on? All of that, the answer is right here. Individual, family, society, nation, and the world. So answer to all these is in the following the Yam Niyam and the course of yoga. Good examples of life is eating light, eating right. They say that best meal should be in the morning, less in the afternoon, and least in the dinner. I don't know whether it is possible in our life. We are home, we come back in the evening, you want to have a good meal, but at least give 3 hours between going to eating and going to sleep. Try to sleep on the left side as much as possible, but because our stomach is on the left side, there will be less reflux. Drinking a lot of water. Of course, with the prostate enlargement, you want to drink water, but stop drinking in a couple of hours before. Avoid processed food, artificial drinks, chocolate, coffee, soda, all this stuff. So these are all different things. Last slide, where yoga can be beneficial. Obviously, needless to say, sleep disorders, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, the cardiovascular, neurovascular disorder, arthritic conditions, heart conditions, less coronary disease is the inflammation. There will be less inflammation. Of course, if you have a hereditary, you have hypertension, diabetes, obesity, you're going to have some problem, but the chances are it will be less compared to when you don't do the yoga. Less sympathetic activity, more sympathetic activity. Digestive function is better, less IBS, less reflux, allergic disorders, great help, asthma, rhinitis, skin disease, immune disorders. I went to Ramdevji's Yogagram just a few months ago. I was amazed to see there was this guy. He said, my son came in and he told me he was there for about a couple of weeks and he had some sort of a severe allergy. He says went away completely because he changed his lifestyle completely with whatever else they did. So there really is a change. Genitourinary disorder, frequency of urination, frequency of bowel movement, dysmenorrhea, all those things, endocrine disorders, various malignancies, even progression of those. So there is a help, but again, it's not a panacea. Don't hold treatment, don't hold the regular medical care. So, so I submitted to you this basics of the yoga, and there I am. And if you have like to ask any questions, or I kind of went through it, not sure how long it should be or how long it should not be. So my privilege, we have neurologists. I see Dr. Rajendraji Gandhi or anybody else who wish to make comments, knowing a lot more than I do. So it would be most honored.
If you have any questions, please unmute yourself first and then ask.
Just simple question. There's a difference between yoga and pranayama and asana. So what's your recommendation when we say yoga? Asana is a part of that too, or asana is more physical exercise?
Okay, I think I made that already. Yoga, by definition, yoga means to unite. What are we trying to unite? We are uniting the body, mind, soul, and hopefully Paramatma. So it's a progressive stage. It's all together one unit. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. आप कोई बिल्डिंग बना रहे हैं, जब तक उसकी बेसमेंट को, उसकी फाउंडेशन को मजबूत नहीं करेंगे, बिल्डिंग कैसे बनेगी? आप, you are so stressed. My God, that guy gave me a look. I'm going to see to it. क्या ध्यान लगेगा? कुछ नहीं होगा. So you have to prepare yourself. I mean, इसका यह मतलब नहीं है कि किसी ने आपको मारा और दूसरा गांधी जी स्टाइल, that not that way. Style like Shri Krishna और Shri Ram. निश्चरहीन करो मही भुज उठाए पनकीन. I'm going to get rid of them. गीता का श्री कृष्ण ने क्या कहा गीता में कि मार दे इनको, ये सब मरे हुए already. So you don't be a cair, but at the same time you follow the basic. You do your very best so that you उस stage तक नहीं पहुंचे. Social conduct, family में, personal, we have fighting within ourselves. Cleanliness of body, mind and soul. So you have to prepare yourself, then go on to the physical exercise. कहते हैं कि आसन से प्राणायाम बेहतर है, प्राणायाम से ध्यान बेहतर है, but in reality it's a progressive step. All of them have their values and it's all one unit, all called yoga all together. Ashtanga yoga, which is also called Raj yoga.
Thank you very much. It helps.
Any other questions, please?
It is a strong yoga. So all these 8 parts of the yoga have to be done combined at the same time. But the yamas and niyamas, those are the prerequisites of yoga.
Thank you, Om Ji.
You're welcome.
Any other? No. So then,
Om Ji, we want to hear more from you. You are far advanced.